All right, this should be fun. Haven't done anything like this in a while. It's been a couple crazy weeks here for us. We've been traveling. We've been doing all kinds of stuff, going to boxing events. We've been doing a lot of crazy things. And if I'm being honest with you, I haven't had time to write a script for this video. So guess what? We're just going to wing it. This is the final episode of a series of videos that we're putting together helping you with an easy mode aquarium. The idea is that maybe you have some issues that you're dealing with. Who knows what those issues are, and your mental health is all out of whack and you need something to help you out with that. Well, guess what? What this whole series is about. It started out talking about some of the most important decisions that you need to make when starting a new aquarium. We talked about the equipment to run it, setting up an aquascape and making it all pretty. Lisa helped you out with that one. Then we talked about some of the things that are inevitable. They're going to happen with your aquarium. And now it's time to talk about the things that you're going to need to do for the rest of your life, or as long as you're keeping aquariums. You're always going to need to maintain your aquariums, and you're always going to need to feed your fish. And that's kind of the point, because let's face it, all of us love feeding fish. It's one of the most fun things that we do in this hobby. But I have to say something that a lot of people are going to hear, and they're going to want to make it controversial. I promise you it's not. But I only know how to say it one way. If you've been doing research on setting up your first aquarium, and you've been watching videos about the father fish method, or you've been watching videos from Lucas Bretz, which is a good friend of mine, LRB Aquatics. I love that guy. If you've been watching their videos about setting up natural aquariums, and you've been listening to Lou tell you that you have to do it this way and all of this, I'm going to say this. And Lou and Lucas both, they know exactly what I'm saying when I say this, so don't make this controversial. But take everything you heard in those videos and ignore every second of it. Now listen, I'm not saying that to say that those guys are wrong. They're absolutely not. The systems that they set up, their natural aquariums and their maintenance-free aquariums, those absolutely work. They do. But you have to know what you're doing. You have to understand how all this works. You don't have to be an expert, but you need to know what to do in case things go wrong, and they can go wrong. And so that is not something that I would recommend for beginners. If you're watching this series just to freshen up on some new ideas and things like that, and you've been keeping aquariums for a long time and you know how all this works, then yes, if that appeals to you, do exactly what Lou or Lucas are telling you to do. It works. And it's not really my style of doing things, but it's great. It will work. It's definitely true. But if you're setting up your first aquarium, you want this to be on easy mode. I know that what they do seems like it's very easy, and it is. But again, you need to know what you're doing. And if this is all brand new to you, just wait on that. Their systems work. It absolutely does. But just don't do it for your first aquarium. I hope that makes sense. And Lou, Lucas, you guys know I got respect for you. Come on. Let's not make this into a fight. You know. You listen to all of it, right? There's no fighting words here. I was just with Lucas like 3 days ago. He's a good dude. I don't have a problem with them at all. I just don't want a brand new fish keeper doing what they're doing. And I think they would probably agree. So let's not make this a thing, okay? Now, having said all of that, you have an aquarium now. You have a little piece of nature in your living room. You might have put live plants in there. Who knows? You might have plastic plants in there and a SpongeBob pineapple. Whatever it is that you put in your aquarium, I'm happy that you did that. I'm happy that you've joined this lifestyle that we all live. And I do believe that it will benefit your mental health. But this isn't an easy hobby. I'm setting up an aquarium on easy mode to make it as easy as possible, but it's not easy in that you never have to touch it. You have to do maintenance on this aquarium, but it's not going to be the end of the world. It's not hard work. You're not going to be out there digging ditches or building skyscrapers. You're doing very easy work that almost everyone that I know in this lifestyle looks at it as very therapeutic to do this work. Why? Because you're facilitating life. You're making sure that the environment in that aquarium is better for the lives that are living in it. And it makes you feel good. Not only that, but when it's over and you step back and you look at the aquariums that you've just cleaned up, there's a sense of pride to that. Look how nice that looks. I did that. I made that look better, and I made it healthier for the fish that are living in there. I don't care who you are. That feels good. I've felt that thousands and thousands of times, and it never gets old. So just face it. You are going to have to do some work. We're going to talk about the minimum work that you need to do. Well, it's not the minimum. It is the work that you need to do. We're going to talk about that. I don't want you to freak out about it. This is not something that you have to work on for 20 hours a week. 45 minutes to an hour tops, depending on what size aquarium you have. That's all you need. But before we talk about the maintenance that you have to do in your aquarium, we're going to talk about something easier. I'm going to demystify the mystery that is feeding your fish, because just like everything in this world today, if you go to do research on a little simple thing like feeding fish, you're going to be completely overwhelmed with the volume of results that you get. 78,000 videos, 50 million articles, all the Facebook posts and people on Reddit, all of this, they're all going to be saying different things, but there's one thing that you need to know. The manufacturers of these fish foods have made it super easy for you to get the right food for the fish that you keep. If you're keeping cichlids, there's cichlid foods. If you're keeping cichlids that are herbivores, like these yellow guys over here, there's a specific food for that. If you're keeping discus, community fish, angelfish, bottom feeders, floaters, whatever it is that you're keeping, it is very simple to find food for that. And here's the number one rule. First of all, we talked about it last week. Only put enough food in there that your fish will consume within 1 minute. But other than that, the number one thing that you need to know, the best food for your fish is the food that your fish will eat. Think about it like a child, if you will. You put broccoli in front of your 5-year-old and he's like, no. And you put peanut butter and jelly, yum, 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 yum. It might not be as nutritious as the broccoli is, but there's not very many 5-year-olds that like broccoli. At least you're getting something in them. It is nutritious. It has a lot of sugar and it has a lot of this and a lot of that. It's not perfect for that fish. That fish? No, we're talking about a 5-year-old. It's not perfect, but it's getting something in that child. Look at fish food the same way, except it is very different. You might have one brand that the fish turns its nose up at and has no interest in it, but then you put the next brand in there and they love it. It's not because there's a bunch of sugar in there and grape flavored jelly. It's because whatever it is that's in that food appeals to that fish. If they get that food in them, that's the best food for them. Food that fish don't eat is no good to them, and it's no good to you because it's a waste of money. A lot of these manufacturers will have samples of their foods at the fish store and stuff like that. Take advantage of that if it's available. Get little samples, try them out, see what your fish are attracted to, because you can buy the most expensive food out there that is made by hand and it's whatever. It's the most advanced food in the world. If your fish don't eat it, it's worthless. So whatever your fish will eat, if you buy Hikari, don't listen to those idiots that say Hikari is trash and all this. Those are the same people that say Tom Brady is trash. They don't know what they're talking about. If your fish takes to Hikari and they're eating it and they're growing and they're happy and they're healthy, then that's the best food for them. If it's Northfin, if it's Extreme, if it's Repashy, if it's Dainichi, whatever it is, if they take to it, that's the best food. Don't overcomplicate it. Look at the labels. Buy the label that has your fish on it. If they eat it, you're gold. That's all you need to know. No, that's not all you need to know. There is one more thing. There's a lot of people out there that preach a varied diet. My wife is one of them, and I don't disagree with all of those people. However, I have known people that have fed the same food for 40 years and they've never made any adjustments. They've never fed anything different. Every meal, every day, same thing. And the fish thrive and they do very, very well. You feed your dog the same thing every day, don't you? I bet you do. We do. We feed our cats the same thing every single day. We do that with our four-legged animals, but for some reason, everybody thinks we have to do that with fish food. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think it is a good thing. Is it required? No. That's my opinion. A lot of people might have a different opinion, and that's fine. But you're watching me right now, and I'm telling you, whatever they're eating, if they're happy and healthy, you don't have to change a thing. You don't have to do a huge variety. You can, and it's great, but if they're not going to eat it, why waste all that money and why waste that time and foul up your aquarium? Now, maintenance. This is easier than you think. I've done a lot of videos on it. I will put videos up here. There'll be a couple. The little circle with the eye in it that's going to pop up during this segment. These are multiple videos that I've made about aquarium maintenance. But the cliff notes for maintenance is, first of all, you have to do it. There's no way around it. Get over it. You're going to have to do this maintenance. If you don't, you are not taking proper care of those fish. I'll say it to your face. You have to do this. When do you have to do it? Well, this is where there's a critical piece of equipment that we haven't talked about yet that you absolutely must have to get you through this. And that's a test kit, a master test kit, something that measures pH, ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate. We talked about all of that in the cycling video. You have to have one of these test kits because it's the test kit that will tell you when it's time to do maintenance. Maybe you did some maintenance and you're wondering when the next time is that you need to do it. Well, after a week or so of your tank running normally, you're feeding normally, do a test on it. Now we're through the cycle, so we're not going to see ammonia. We're not going to see nitrite, but we are going to see nitrates when your nitrates get up to an unacceptable level. I'm not going to tell you what that level is. You want to know why? Because everybody's answer to that is different. But just as a general rule of thumb, if you read it and it says that your nitrates are at 40 parts per million, we're going to want to bring that down, because when it starts to go higher than that, you can run into issues where it can start to seriously hamper your fish. So we're going to want to bring that down to be between 10 and 20. That's what I tell people. So you're going to want to do a water change that gets it there. So what you do is you do a water change, vacuuming out your gravel, getting all that uneaten food out of there, getting all of the stuff out of there that the bacteria can't keep up with, and you're going to do another test. And if that gets you down to 10 parts per million, you're good. Whatever size water change that was, you did it. You're perfect. You're good now. But then every few days, I want you to test your water after that. And I want you to see where it's going. And I want you to see how long it takes under normal circumstances for your nitrates to go back up to that 40 parts per million, because that's when you want to do your water change, right? If it takes 2 weeks to get there, guess what? You just figured out that you need to do a water change every 2 weeks. How much of a water change? The answer to that is however much water it took to get it down to that 10 parts per million. That's the answer. It's no more complicated than that. However long it takes for your nitrates to reach 40 parts per million, that's when you need to do a water change. You need to do as big a water change as it takes to get it back down to 10 parts per million. Use the heck out of that test kit. You buy master test kits, they can test like 1,000 times. So you're not going to run out of the stuff. You're good to test it as much as you want. Document it. Put it on a notes app or something like that on your phone, or just write it down the old-fashioned way like my wife does. Keep it documented, and then you're going to start to see a pattern, and you're going to know under normal circumstances, I can wait 3 weeks to do a water change. That's how you do it. I used to preach to people, get on a routine. If you're a routine person, then you should certainly do this. Get on a routine. Read your nitrates. If your nitrates are only at 25 parts per million after a week, and you do a water change to get it down to 10, and you want to stick with that routine every week, you want to do this, you are not hurting anything to do that. Absolutely do that. You'll be fine. But if you're somebody that wants absolutely as much time possible to go by before it's time to do another water change, that's where you're going to be running these tests and see when it gets up to those levels where you start to hear alarm bells going off, and that's when you're going to want to do your water changes. But if you don't want it to be risky and go up that high, get yourself on a routine. That's great, but you don't have to do that. I used to tell people that you did have to do that. I've changed. I've changed my way of thinking because I realize most people are not strict routine people. They want to do as little work as possible, as rarely as possible. And I understand. We've all got episodes of our favorite show to watch. I get it. We're all busy. So for those people, do your tests, document it. It's going to tell you when you need to do your maintenance. But what about maintenance of the filter? John, you recommended to us a hang on the back filter. How often should I do maintenance on the filter? Well, if you're using a hang on the back filter like the Marinelands that have replaceable cartridges, you just dispose of the cartridge and put a new one in. I'm sorry, Marineland. You don't need to do it as often as Marineland tells you need to do it. They're doing that because they want to make as much money as possible. I mean, this is the way the world works. But you can probably get away with several months. After a month, you can take it out, rinse it out. I promise it's not going to hurt anything. Rinse it out, clean that sponge off, the little blue sponge, put it back in. You can get another month out of it. But after a couple of months, it's probably going to be time to go ahead and replace it, because a lot of times that thin layer of blue foam will start to break down. And that's not just on the Marinelands, that's all of them. When that foam starts to break down and the little carbon pellets start to fall out, that's a problem. We don't want that to happen. So clean it off until you start to see little cracks in the foam. Then you're going to want to replace it. You should be fine. We've had cartridges in Marineland and Aqueon filters for like 6 months, and they've still been fine. I'm not saying all of them can go that long, but the circumstances around those tanks allowed it to go that long. What about cleaning out the filter? What about taking the filter off and hosing it out and cleaning all that brown and all that nasty out of there? I'm going to say something that's going to surprise you, and there's going to be some people that probably won't like this, but I don't care about those people. This is something you should do as infrequently as possible. Leave it alone, because this is the life support system of your aquarium. If you're constantly seeing debris floating around and your water is just nasty all the time, then you might want to do that. But if everything's running fine, you replace the cartridge and everything's good to go, don't fool with the box. Leave the box alone. Yes, there's stuff in there. You don't want that stuff. It's ugly and it's gross, but it's in your filter. You never see it. Leave it alone. Trust me, more catastrophes happen with aquariums when people thoroughly clean their filter out than anything else, because that is the main hub for the growth of this beneficial bacteria that we love so much, that helps to keep our aquariums healthy. We don't want to interfere with that and have to start the whole cycle all over again. So leave the filter alone unless it's obvious that you need to clean that box out. Just replace the media or squeeze out the media. If you're using the Fluval Aqua Clear or the Seachem titles, just squeeze those sponges out, run them through tap water, clean them out real good so that they're flowing water through them, no problem. Put them back in and you'll be fine for a very long time. Now, there's a couple other easy, quick little things to maintain that you're going to want to do just for your sanity. First would be cleaning algae off the glass. I'm not going to tell you how to do that. You can get a sponge, make sure it doesn't have any cleaning solutions or anything like that on it. Make sure it's brand new and it doesn't have any additives on it at all. It's just a sponge, just a bare sponge. You can use that. You can buy some of the magnetic scrapers that attach to the outside of the glass. You don't even have to get your hands wet. You can use the sponge on a stick. I thought I had one sitting around here. We use those all the time. Those are great for getting back into the back of the aquarium, stuff like that. Cleaning algae off, anybody can do it. You can have your 4-year-old help you with that without any problems. Your heater requires no maintenance whatsoever, except for looking at it, checking your thermometer, making sure it's keeping up with the temperature that you need it to. If it's not, well, there's nothing you can do about it. You have to throw it away and get a new one. That's just the way heaters are. You can't get in there and tighten things up and do an oil change and do a tune-up on it. You can't do that. You got to throw it away and then put a new one in there, and it costs you a lot of money. So this is where you don't want to skimp on it. I told you that in the equipment episode. We want to spend money on a heater. Get a good quality heater. You shouldn't have to worry about that, and you should be good for a very long time. But you buy one of those $8 jobs off of Amazon, you get what you pay for. Now, your substrate, how often are you going to want to clean that out? Well, if you're using a planted tank substrate, never. If you're using sand, probably never, because you'll suck half of it up through your siphon hose and run it down the drain. You don't want to do that. But if you're using things like gravel, things like that, maintain your gravel every time you do a water change. It's not a big deal. You use your siphon hose, it sucks it up. It's kind of satisfying to watch all that brown go up in there. It's gross, but it's very satisfying knowing that you're taking that out of there. Do it every single time you do a water change. If you're overly concerned about the impact of the beneficial bacteria in there, on week 1, do half of it. And then the next time you do a water change, do the other half. Just keep track of where you are and go back and forth, and you should be fine. If you're doing a water change in a 10-gallon aquarium, just do the whole daggone thing. It takes you 2 minutes. It's not a big deal. Stop acting like you're too busy. You're not. You can do this. We can all do this. It'll take you 30 seconds. Vacuum it out. You'll feel good watching all that slime come out of there. Your fish will be happy because they're not swimming in a toilet that's not been flushed. It's a perfect world for everyone. So there you go. Some things to think about. It's all very simple stuff here, folks. Don't overcomplicate it. You go out and watch all these videos, you can have your mind explode with all of the overload of information that you can get, but don't overcomplicate it. Keep things simple. Do maintenance when the test kit tells you you need to do maintenance, or get yourself on a strict routine. Either way is fine. Your fish are going to appreciate it. Your aquarium's going to look great. And if you're on that routine, if you're keeping up with it, you don't have to worry about a surprise visitor coming to your house and seeing how dirty your aquarium is. It's always going to be ready for people to see it. And that is a beautiful thing. And it's a beautiful thing that you're doing this for your mental health, right? You have that good feeling knowing that you're keeping the best environment possible for your fish. That is the payoff of all of this. Seeing those fish that are happy and knowing that they're happy because of what you've done. I don't know anybody that would not have their mental health impacted in a positive way over that. So there you go. I hope that this whole series has helped you out. We've tried to keep things very simple. I don't think it was as simple in this episode because I didn't script it and refine everything. I just went off the top of my head, which means I did a lot of rambling, and I'm sorry about that, but I wanted to be thorough without overcomplicating things. I hope that this series has helped you out. It's helped you out to understand that you can set up an aquarium. It can be easy, and it can help you with your mental health. I mentioned last week the new initiative that Lisa and I are working on, our Boxes of Water series, where we're going out helping people that need our help with their aquariums for a lot of different reasons. I'll put a video up here that explains the whole thing, but there's one thing that's different about that video and this current day right now, and that is that we've changed the email address. I'll put the email address down in the pinned comment below the like button. That is going to be explaining where you can submit your nominations for people that might need our help. The email address is kgboxesofwater@gmail.com. Lisa and I are going to be going to people, and we're going to be helping them with their problems, or we're going to be introducing them to this hobby for the same reasons that you are being introduced to this hobby now. Maybe they're dealing with some trauma. Maybe they've dealt with an illness or an injury, and they could use something to take their mind off of what they're going through. We might be able to introduce people to this beautiful hobby and help them through all of that. I'm really excited. We've already gotten started with this series. I can't wait to start showing you videos about that. It's all coming, I promise, and it's going to change everything with this channel. No more sitting down here in front of an aquarium. We're going to be out there, and we're going to be doing good, and I can't wait to share it with you. So make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss that. Let us know at that email address, kgboxesofwater@gmail.com, if you know somebody that could use our help. We'd love to hear from you. And yes, if we use your nomination in a video, we will credit you with that in the video. Or maybe you could just come by and help us out. Don't just tell us about this person. Tell us about them. We go out there. You come out and help us with it. Everybody will be happy. We'll all win in this scenario. I've got to go because I'm rambling way too much. Thank you so much for watching this series, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. Hopefully it'll be one of those Boxes of Water videos, but it might not be ready yet. We'll see. See ya.